everybody, I'm Terry with Eat Plant-Based, and today I want to share 3 tips with you for healthy meal planning for your family, so stay tuned. So many of you who follow me know that I am a Food for Life instructor with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and I teach the Food for Life program at local medical facilities in my area. The question always comes up in those classes for people who are new to plant-based eating about meal planning. That seems to be something that causes concern for so many people who are newer at this, and even those who have been doing it for a while. But meal planning can really be as simple as 3 easy steps. So a few years ago, I came up with a meal planning PDF file that I share with the classes that I teach, and I wanted to share it with you today in hopes that maybe it'll help some of you who are trying to navigate around meal planning. The idea for this form actually came from inspiration from Dr. Neil Barnard, the president of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. His books that I read years ago talked about how we all have about 9 meals on average that we make over and over again. We keep the ingredients for those meals in our cupboards and refrigerators because we're so familiar with them. We can make them most of the time without even looking at the recipe. And we're creatures of habit, and we make the same ones. So the key with changing your diet to a plant-based diet and meal planning is to change out those, what they call wheelhouse meals, the average of 9 meals that you make over and over. So this form is great for that because I've broken it down into 3 sections on here. And each section represents 3 new meals that I'm about to go over with you. But by the time you fill this out, you're going to have 9 new recipes that can become your new healthy plant-based wheelhouse meals, which makes it so much easier. So let's go over this together. So the paper has just 4 columns on it, and I have a printable version of this online. I'll leave a link to it below in the comments section. But the first column here is for breakfast ideas, and I've listed some things, and when you go to the PDF copy, you'll notice that the items that I have listed are in blue. They're links, so you can just click on them and it will take you directly to the recipe on my site. But I've listed all kinds of things on here, like oatmeal. We all are familiar with oatmeal, like overnight oatmeal, breakfast scramble, grits and toast, banana oat pancakes. I've got 7 different kinds of muffins on there, just all kinds of things, potato waffles, apple crumble, home-style potatoes, lots of different things that you might choose from on here. So we're not going to go over that too much, other than I've just mentioned a few to you to give you an idea. There's lots of things besides just cereal and besides just oatmeal for breakfast. And then skip over to this next one. This is the snack column. I've hyperlinked some ideas. For me, hummus and vegetables is always a terrific snack, and it's so easy to make your own hummus even without oil. And I've linked some different hummus recipes. I've got Italian hummus, garlic hummus, edamame hummus, lots of different ones. I even have a dessert one. It's chocolate peanut butter hummus, which is delicious. So different kinds of hummuses. There's popcorn that you can air pop, and all kinds of seasonings that you can put on that I've included here. I've even put things like zucchini bread and some muffin ideas that you could eat for snacks. So that gives you some ideas, and I've left blanks for you to fill in even more. And then the last column is desserts, and I've listed some of my favorites, like hot fudge cake. I am not kidding. It is delicious. It's from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and it is surprisingly terrific. I also have a sugar-free chocolate cake listed here. Tootsie Roll, homemade Tootsie Roll recipe, chocolate mousse that you can make in about 5 minutes in your blender, no cooking required, a chocolate pie, lots of other walnut raisin cookies that are all great. But that leaves this column here in the middle. That's what I want to really help you plan through with the 3 steps that I mentioned. So with this form, it's the middle section that we're going to concentrate on with meal planning. And you'll notice that it's broken down into 3 sections. This is the lunch and dinner column. And so the 3 sections are the 3 tips that I want to give you. So the easiest thing to do when you are trying out plant-based nutrition and trying to figure out meals that your family will enjoy, the number one thing, the very first thing that I suggest you do is think of 3 meals that you and your family already like that happen to be plant-based. That could be so many different things. It could be vegetable soup, potato soup, pasta salad maybe, or a rice and vegetable stir fry even. Baked potato dishes that are covered maybe with steamed vegetables. Some people have even tried portobello mushroom burgers and know that they like those. So if you can think of 3 recipes that you're already familiar with, whether you already make them or you've tried them at a restaurant or at another person's home, they've made it for you, but they just happen to be plant-based. So think of 3 meals that you already like and find recipes for those that are plant-based and that are oil-free. On my website, if you go to the menu at the top, there is a recipe tab, and if you click on that recipe tab, it takes you to the index for recipes, and it is broken down into breakfasts, dinners, appetizers, snacks. I even have subcategories for black bean recipes or quick 30-minute or less recipes. There's just so many variations, even one for grilling. So I encourage you to go and click on that recipe tab, let that come down and just break down some categories where you can start. And for this, you might go ahead and click on the main dish category, and it will give you all kinds of great ideas for meals you're already familiar with. For the second part, the second section in this form, suggests that you think of 3 meals that you already like that are not plant-based, that are not vegan. Could easily be what I call veganized and made to be plant-based. I think of things like spaghetti. My family always enjoyed spaghetti before we ever went plant-based, but back then we had ground beef in it. And when we went plant-based, it was so easy. The pasta was already completely plant-based. The marinara, as long as you don't put the meat in it, is plant-based as well. So you have a lot of options with spaghetti. You could leave out the ground beef and go ahead and put maybe some onions in there. If you love mushrooms like I do, saute the mushrooms in as well. You can make your own marinara, but I will tell you, Aldi's carries a marinara. I think it's called Simply Nature, and here in North Carolina, it's less than $2 for a jar. Now you'll need to read the label, but because they carry different brands and different flavors of this, but they have one that's completely oil-free. So if you aren't yet into making your own marinara sauce, grab a bottle of that marinara. What I like to do is go ahead and saute those onions and mushrooms and then just add the marinara to it. Let it be cooking while my pasta cooks, and then I'm ready to eat. If you like that ground beef texture, there is a grain called bulgur. If you're not familiar with bulgur, do the search bar on my website. Lots of recipes with bulgur. The thing that I like about bulgur is that it cooks just like rice. You can make it on the stovetop. You can make it in your rice steamer, in your Instant Pot. It takes about 15 minutes on the stovetop, but it has a crumbly texture. on its own, it doesn't have a lot of flavor. It's got a little bit of a nutty flavor, but not a lot. But the texture is what we're going after. It has a crumbly ground beef texture. So when I'm making spaghetti, I will add bulgur to the marinara. Lots of people don't even realize that it's not ground beef. Other foods, other recipes that I love to add bulgur to for that ground beef texture are lasagna and nachos and tacos and things like that. So it's a great way to get that texture. So spaghetti is an easy dish to veganize. Other recipes that could easily be made to be plant-based that maybe your family is already familiar with would be things like burgers. Now, we're not going to do, of course, a ground beef burger, but a black bean burger, maybe you've already tried one and know that you like them. They're very, very simple to make, and you can make these black bean burgers in less than 30 minutes. The ones that I have on my website are firm enough to grill. And you're going to add toppings that you know your family already likes, like tomato and lettuce and onion, pickles, and the toppings that they're already familiar with. So black bean burgers are a great way to have something that you're pretty confident that your family will enjoy. I mentioned also lasagna. Lasagna's it's a multi-step, just like with traditional lasagna. It's a multi-step process, but you're going to leave the ground beef out and add the bulgur in the recipe that I have on my site, and I even have a cheese sauce. I have 5 cheese sauces on my website, so you could choose the one that's more of a cheddar-y type of cheese to drizzle over your lasagna, or I also have a stretchy mozzarella cheese that's great on lasagna as well. But those are some dishes that your family, it won't be taking your family by such a surprise, because these are things they're already used to seeing. They're just going to be tweaked a little bit to be healthier and plant-based. Lots of ideas on my website, so I encourage you to go to that recipe index and find some that look familiar and that you're pretty confident that your family would enjoy. And then the last section of this form is where you have to just get creative. There are so many resources for healthy plant-based meals. Of course, I encourage you to go to my website, because there are about 300 recipes on there that fit the bill. Completely oil-free, completely plant-based. But if you've done much Googling or YouTube searching, you know there are a lot of resources, a lot of great bloggers out there, a lot of recipe creators who have other ideas. I love Susan with Fat Free Vegan and Brandy with the Vegan 8. She has all of her recipes with only 8 ingredients. So lots of resources out there, and there's traditional books. The Dr. Neil Barnard with the Physicians Committee has lots of books, and they're terrific because usually in the front of them, I'm thinking of one right now called Kickstart Your Health, and the first half of that book is talking about transitioning to a plant-based diet. It discusses the science. It holds your hand while you make those transitions so that you can understand, but the whole back half is recipes. And a lot of the recipes on my site are from the Physicians Committee because they gave me permission to share those recipes. So I encourage you to check out some of Dr. Neil Barnard's books. I'll list a couple of my favorite down below in the comments section. But what you're going to do is just go through the different resources, take some time, look at the different recipes available, and then just start trying. So I hope that some of this information is helpful, and go to the comment section below and download this. And as I mentioned, the ones written in blue are already linked. All you have to do is click. It'll take you straight to the recipes, and then you can begin your research with the ones that are left blank for you to come up with the 9 new meals for you and your family. I've left lots of links below that I hope will also be helpful. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel because I try to put out a new video every week to help share either a recipe or some tips that will encourage you and motivate you in your plant-based journey. And leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you, hear your thoughts and what you're making for your family, whatever you've got on your mind. I try to put out a new video each week of either a cooking demonstration or tips for you to help encourage you and motivate you on your plant-based journey. So, I'll see you guys again next week. Until then, take care. Thanks, everybody. Bye.